Good morning. Today I want to talk about how we can control the hazards and risks, dangers associated with backpacking, mountaineering and hiking. As I've mentioned before, there are two categories, the objective and the subjective. Objective are the physical elements, the rivers we've got to cross, the scrambles we've got to do, the heat, the cold, the wet, all objective, all physical things that need a physical response. The subjective are things that we worry about. We worry about getting cold, we worry about getting wet, we worry about running out of water, we worry about the spiders and the bears and the snakes. These are subjective. Some people worry more about them than others. But it's all about learning, teaching, understanding, doing your research, putting your mind at rest. So as I've mentioned before, proper planning and preparation prevents a particularly bad performance. Research. You need to do proper research, proper route planning, making sure that you know where all the river crossings are, where the bridges are. Can you actually physically get across that river? What about the scrambles and the climbs and the bogs? Can you get through there? What information is there about those particular items, those particular objectives that you need to get over? So it's all about research, all about planning, getting the maps out, looking on websites and Facebook pages, doing your research, looking at Google Earth, and really getting down to the nitty-gritty of what's there. You need to monitor. You need to monitor the weather from different sites to get a good cross-sectional area of what's going on. You need to look at the news. If you're going into particular hotspots for fire, you need to be watching the news, the local news, and seeing what information there is about any closures for fires. You also need to be looking on any apps that are available for the particular walk you're going to be doing, because generally people will post comments and information about water, about campsites, any dangers that are in that area. So you can take all of that into consideration when you're making your choices. Training and learning. I'm going to read these and just sort of pre-say them. Improve your skills. Go out with friends. Go out with friends that maybe do some climbing or scrambling, and they can show you how to use some of the equipment. Practice river crossings if you know that you're going to have a problem. As we've mentioned before, practice using crampons and ice axes in potentially worse conditions that you're going to encounter. Make sure you know how to use an ice axe, how to brake, and how to find out if the snow is going to avalanche or not. Work out the techniques, put yourself on a course, watch some videos, do as much as you possibly can to improve your skill level. It's really, really important that you learn how to navigate with a map, a paper map and a compass. And you also understand about the apps that you're using on your telephone, and particularly how you can save battery, and try and get a good map memory. So for the next hour you've memorized the route, you know there's a left turn when you get to a track junction, and so on and so forth, and what sort of time it's going to take you to get from A to B, so you're not constantly looking at your phone and wasting the batteries. First aid, I would recommend that you put yourself on a wilderness first aid course or a first aid at work course, whichever you can get on, and get the basics in first aid. The vital signs, what happens if you come across somebody that's bashed the head in, or they've slipped, or they're drowning. What can you do to save them, and what can you do to save yourself? And emergency planning. Who have you got back at base, back at home, who's a responsible person who can work out for you what is the best thing to do if you phone up or you miss a contact time, date? What can you teach them to get in touch with the police, to ring around the hostels and that sort of thing, to see if you have arrived safely? What are you going to teach them, and what you're going to understand about your emergency procedures? Technical dynamic control. Check each other. So if you're walking with a partner, make sure that you're checking with them. Make sure that they're not coming down with hypothermia or heat stroke, or they're really struggling because they've not eaten correctly, or they're ill, or they've got blisters, twisted knee. Keep an eye on each other to make sure that your party is safe. They'll be looking after you and you'll be looking after them. Check the food and water. Make sure that you've both got enough water. Yes, you might not want to carry 5 litres of water because it's heavy, but running out of water is a massive, massive mistake. So you need to make sure that you're both, or your party, or you individually, are doing the right thing and having the confidence to do the right thing for yourself and your party. Carrying enough food, carrying enough water. Check your gear. Make sure that you bring the appropriate equipment. You're not carrying too little, you're not carrying too much. Make sure that you're not losing anything and leaving things behind at camp, like spoons and trekking poles and pegs, things that blow away or fall off your rucksack. Quite often you see people wandering around the hills with things dangling off their bags. It only needs to get snagged on a bush or a tree, or the buckle comes undone and you've lost things. So check in the route. Make sure that you and your party understand what the route is, how far you're going, how long it's going to take, what difficulties there are, and make sure that everybody is happy with that. And those that are not happy with that, how are you going to get round the difficulty? So, safety procedures. You and your party and your support party back at home need to understand what your safety procedures are going to be if you encounter an incident, such as somebody falling and breaking a wrist, twisting an ankle, you've run out of water, you've run out of food. What are your emergency procedures? So you need to stop, pitch up the tent if you're carrying a tent, or get up your bivvy bag and stop. If it's absolutely banging down or you're in a thunderstorm, you need to stop and shelter in a safe position. Self-rescue. What are you going to do if you need to self-rescue? We're up here, we encounter a thunderstorm. How are we going to get off the ridge down into the valley? What are we going to do before that actually happens? And even if you don't work something out down in the valley before you set off, get a huddle together with the Chinese Parliament and work out what the group is safe, wants to do to get yourself out of situation. Have you got means to call for a rescue? Calling the police. Make sure you have the What 3 Words app and you know how to use it and how to communicate that to the police so rescuers can find you. And once you're there, don't move away from it. First aid, again, make sure you know basic first aid, and if you're lucky you may have somebody on your team or somebody who turns up that knows more about first aid, may even be a medical person that can help in the situation. Electronic equipment, that's a really, really big one now. People running out of phone battery, not taking enough battery power with them, not having the correct leads, not knowing how their phone works, leaving it on when it's freezing cold, not insulating it from the cold. It's a really, really big one. Do your research, watch some videos, work out the best thing for you and your phone. If it's an older phone, 3 or 4 years old, and you're going to do a big trip, buy a new phone with a new battery, because the battery will just die very, very quickly. Do the correct thing for your electronics. Risk awareness. It's quite basic. Keep risks as low as reasonably possible. Simple. Keep the risks as low as reasonably possible for your trip, for you and your party, and the conditions that you find yourself in. If in doubt, stop. Wait till conditions improve and either back off or carry on. Simples. So next time we're going to talk about equipment.